It was recently reported that during a battle in the Kursk region, a small group of North Korean special forces managed to seize a Ukrainian position and fortify themselves. However, the Ukrainians countered them with none other than an Abrams tank. The Abrams tank approached the North Korean trenches at close range and began firing at their bunker, as we can see in this video. The North Korean soldiers had no anti-tank weapons to counter the Ukrainian tank, but they reported the situation to the Russians. After destroying the target, the Ukrainian Abrams tank was returning to its original position, but was pursued by a Russian FPV drone connected via a fiber optic cable. The Russians sent one drone after another, knowing that a single drone wouldn't be enough to destroy an Abrams tank. The second drone targeted the base of the tank's turret in an attempt to detonate it, but the explosion didn't occur. The crew managed to evacuate the tank and safely return, leaving the tank abandoned on the road, where it remained for an entire week. If you feel sorry for the loss of this tank, give this video a thumbs up. After this, the Ukrainians resumed using an old Soviet tank, but now, let's return to our North Korean soldiers. A new wave of soldiers from North Korea has arrived in Russia to participate in the war against Ukraine. This time, there are even more of them than the last time. The Russians are providing them with Russian military uniforms and equipping them with everything necessary for participation in combat operations. They are also issuing them Russian identity documents, which have already been found on deceased North Korean soldiers. They are very satisfied with the support they are receiving and boast that the Russians are taking better care of them here than in North Korea. The conditions of their accommodation, meals, and rest are much better than back home. Unfortunately, the poor North Korean soldiers are yet unaware of how ruthlessly they will be sent to the front lines by Russian commanders. The Russians intend to use them as bait to distract and exhaust Ukrainian forces. The North Korean soldiers are not provided with any armored vehicles or training. They are expected to fight using only small arms and grenades. Some of them even brought along North Korean rifles, with the magazine positioned upwards. According to Russian military personnel, this weapon is considered highly inconvenient to use. Typically, the Russian command sends large groups of North Korean soldiers to storm Ukrainian fortifications, hoping that Ukrainians will divert their forces from other parts of the front line. However, the Ukrainians have decided to counter the North Koreans exclusively with FPV drones. It has proven to be highly effective. It turned out that the North Koreans underestimated the danger posed by the small killer drones carrying deadly fragmentation grenades. A single drone can disrupt an entire group of soldiers from completing their mission, forcing them to scatter and run across the field like mice, desperately searching for cover. This North Korean soldier accidentally falls to the ground, narrowly avoiding a collision with the drone. But the Ukrainian drone quickly turns around and dives at him from above. Many soldiers were identified as North Koreans in the final moments of their lives through footage captured by the FPV drone's camera. Later, a note written in Korean was found in the pocket of one of the fallen North Korean soldiers. It was a letter addressed to a close friend, a birthday greeting, and a promise to return home soon. Another fallen soldier was found carrying a note with instructions on how to counter FPV drones. The tactic involved one person distracting the drone while others attempted to shoot it down with small arms. But in practice, this tactic doesn't work. FPV drones break up groups of soldiers into isolated wanderers and then hunt each one down. This North Korean soldier found himself face to face with a Ukrainian drone, desperately trying to fend it off as if it were an annoying fly. This is what modern warfare looks like. Look, He has a rifle in his hands, but all he can do is throw it at the drone. Surely, this isn't how he imagined modern warfare. Another North Korean tries to bring down the drone by throwing rocks. And this one almost succeeded. He came close to taking a drone down with a large stick. Western intelligence has already confirmed that thousands of new North Korean troops have begun arriving in Russia. Over the past few weeks, Ukrainians have eliminated nearly 3,000 soldiers that the Russians deployed in the Kursk region. Many of them were identified using reconnaissance drones. They brought almost no benefit to Russia, managing to plant their flag in only one location after advancing just a few hundred meters. But Russia wants more, and North Korean leaders are willing to send even larger numbers. This time, North Korean officers and several generals have already been spotted in Moscow. It's likely that Putin will allow them to command the North Korean soldiers. But let's return to the drones on fiber optic cables. The Russians have achieved significant success in using this technology, inflicting substantial damage on Ukrainian forces. Look at this. This Ukrainian tank is engaged in combat, driving North Korean soldiers out of a village in the Kursk region. However, a Russian fiber optic drone is approaching it. No electronic warfare systems can stop such a drone. This Ukrainian T-80 tank was also destroyed by several Russian drones with fiber optic connection. Although such drones are only used within a range of a few kilometers, the Ukrainians have yet to find an effective way to counter them, losing tank after tank. However, if fiber optics are deployed along a paved road, the drone can reach distances of up to 7 kilometers. Additionally, fiber optic communication provides the drone operator with enhanced image quality, allowing for more precise targeting and better maneuvering of the drone. It's evident that in close combat, this is an indispensable technology, and Ukraine must catch up on this technological progress. By the way, here is the first instance of Ukrainian drone operators using such technology themselves. This is a spool containing a fiber optic cable that unwinds as the drone flies. This drone caught a Russian tank while it was firing at Ukrainian targets. The drone is impervious to electronic warfare and easily strikes the Russian tank. The tank had a crew inside. One drone was enough to ignite the tank, but the Ukrainians sent another drone. After the second strike, the tank became unusable. In southern Ukraine, the Russians gathered more than 10 units of equipment and embarked on a risky assault, immediately coming under heavy fire from Ukrainian artillery. Several APCs were destroyed with precise shots while still on their way to the village, but the majority of the Russian armored vehicles continued advancing toward Ukrainian defensive positions, attempting to break through. They veer off the road, attempting to hide from shelling in small wooded areas, but not all of them managed to succeed. This group of Russians thought they had escaped retribution, but they didn't account for the possibility that the area might be mined. Disabled vehicles are much less mobile, making them significantly easier targets, and Ukrainian soldiers are well aware of this. And those who cannot be eliminated with artillery are already being awaited by mobile teams armed with javelins. But despite their losses, the Russians, even on damaged APCs, continue their attempts to break through the defense. Well, they are in for a few more surprises from Ukrainian drone operators. Drones have proven to be highly effective against armored vehicles, but they handle civilian vehicles even better, as the lack of additional protection often means a single well-placed kamikaze strike is enough to neutralize them. And if the soldiers abandon the vehicle in panic, the drone operator can easily fly inside to deliver maximum damage. After such a hit, there will be nothing left of the vehicle except a pile of charred scrap metal. But since the Russians have been experiencing a prolonged shortage of military equipment, we often see them continuing their assault even when their APCs are already engulfed in flames or smoke. Clearly, such equipment won't get far, and in the best case, the Russians will manage to abandon it before another drone arrives to finish what its comrades started. And then another one, and another one. Over the years of the war, Ukrainian FPV drone groups have mastered drone piloting skills. If they come across an abandoned tank, the most effective way to destroy it is to fly the drone into the open hatch. It's difficult, but it's worth it. The combination of artillery, javelins, and drones, along with well-prepared defensive positions, leads to the Russians losing dozens of units of equipment on the same sections of the front in their attempts to advance. And while they sometimes manage to capture new territories through sheer numbers, this is not one of those cases. Give a thumbs up to the Ukrainian soldiers for their courage and resilience, which they show every day in repelling the enemy's constant assaults.